Welcome back, everybody. Rivals Fight Night continues, and I've got some fresh faces joining me. We've got Avast and ZP. Avast, I'm pumped because I've known you for about 7 years. We haven't ever worked together. How do you feel about NA playing Marvel Rivals?
To be honest, Europe always has, I feel like, a little bit of an edge starting out with a bunch of these because realistically, you know, these guys, they're bums. They're working. America, we're fighting for survival over here. They're working out. They're grinding. And comparatively, Europe, they also have like a lot of really, really good players overall. They're really talented FPS. And also on the secondary point, Puckett, the reason we haven't worked together is because you've always been like, oh, he's stinky. I don't like him. And before this, you said that Jake and Uber were the more handsome, the most handsome possible caster pair. It didn't even give us a shot, ZP. Not even a shot. Not one chance. They couldn't even. He's just like, oh, that'll do, pig. That'll do to us.
It's kind of the skincare routine, you know? You either got it or you don't. And let's just talk a little bit about what ZP's bringing to the table tonight, because ZP, you have been doing so much work behind the scenes. When you're not doing play-by-play, you're making calls to me, you're making calls to Hex and getting the whole crew together. What was it like building this talent roster?
It was wild. It was one of those things where it's like, okay, you know, the entire Avengers Assemble, it was that. But for broadcast is exactly where we're at right now, where we had to figure out, okay, who can cast this game? Who's going to be awesome at casting this game? Who do we know team-wise? Where, by the way, big shout-outs to Crimzo, where in terms of navigating the Marvel Rivals landscape, Crimzo has been phenomenal. The coach of Sentinels just helped us get every contact we needed, helped us, you know, matchmake behind the scenes. Super, super cool. But look, it's kind of been an all-hands-on-deck experience. My Discord DMs have never been more flooded, but so far today, you look at the first half of the show, you look at what we're putting on, it's all definitely been worth it.
If you need a hella one trick, go to Jake. If you need a hella two trick, go to ZP. My man plays Winter Soldier and Hella, and he has carried me throughout our games.
Yep.
Avast, though, when you're playing, are we a Vanguard? Are we a strategist? Are you playing duelist these days? What's your ideal?
Typically, I main losing with ZP is my biggest main, because typically when we play, we only lose. So maybe he's only giving his best juice to Puckett, perhaps. He's not giving it to our duos. But overall, it's a flex, you know? A little bit of Magneto, best Vanguard in the game, of course. Strategist, yeah. I mean, obviously, you know, I have a lot of background with that. So I think strategists are very strong currently. And we're going to see it in the games, too, that strategist role determines a lot of the tempo here in this game and determines like a lot of what you see in the ult fights and a lot of the skill expression as well. So realistically, I mean, you gotta roll up on the strategists.
Been very involved in the ban and protect as well. We have two new teams going at it, though, for the first time. This is Intergalactic taking on Extinction. ZP, tell me a little bit about these NA rosters before the winner plays Sentinels. What should we know about these 12?
So we gotta know here about Intergalactic and Extinction is that they're teams on the newer end here in the North American competitive scene. There's been a whole lot of teams showing up where, yeah, you get a lot of the old hats, right? Where, you know, Nevix goes back to like 2015 as far as hero shooter gameplay goes. But Extinction and Intergalactic, both newer teams, and Intergalactic not to be slept on here, where they did pretty well in the Valhalla tournament that went on just recently. They were able to take maps off teams like LFO. I mean, were they able to put together a full tournament to get to the grand finals? No, but they were able to take down Shikigami at one point, and even though they lost them in the lower bracket, it's kind of the classic new team, new game setup, right? Where you have bursts of talent where you look really good, but consistency maybe is a little bit of an issue. But that's one of the exciting things about a brand new game, Marvel Rivals, that we get to be on the front lines looking at these teams as they develop from new kids on the block to, you know, champions of the league as time goes on.
Now you can see here for Intergalactic, we are going to see Window. You got Doomed, Senor Hoff, one of my favorite Wolverines to watch. Is he going to get to play Wolverine? And a Hulk there. Now these are our players' ideal characters. We won't necessarily see this comp. Is a Hulk going to be in the mix for NA tonight, Avast?
I mean, realistically, Hulk is a fantastic Vanguard to play. You have so much value from the shields, from the gamma burst, being able to actually shoot people from far away. But also, you're not seeing a lot of Hulk playing in EU, and I imagine we're not going to see it that much in A either, just because teams have been really wanting to focus on sort of these double shield compositions, the Sustain from Doctor Strange, Magneto, and sometimes if you want to swap it up, you bring in the Thing, you bring in Venom to really allow yourself to put that pressure into the backlines and also give you a lot more sustain. And Hulk seems to have been flown by the wayside a little bit. I think he's just like not as popular as he used to be.
Fidel and Nuckstar are going to be taking over the strategist roles. We will see some Luna, we'll see some Loki. On the other side of this matchup, we have Extinction ZP. What should I know about our challenger tonight?
Yeah, I think like Extinction, I think between the two teams, this team is probably a little bit lower on the power ranking scale. But again, it's so early that they definitely have the ability to be very explosive, right? This is a team that also has significant hero shooter experience, right? Especially in the tier 2 level in previous games. So this team in general, it's not like they're coming in without any competitive experience, right? It's a team that actually, is reasonably accomplished in the past in terms of like what their players have done. And, it's just putting it together in a new game. I think overall, in terms of what to expect from NA relative to what we saw in EU, is I think player-wise, I feel like NA, for what we've seen, definitely more willing to run things like Thing on average. I think you see a little bit more Storm, less Hella bans. For what we've seen, like teams are more willing to fight the Hella. That also could have just been a EU-specific thing where EU was going out of its way to ban Hella a little bit more. I mean, more so on the Pep side, but we'll see. I think meta-wise, we're definitely going to be seeing a different take from EU, which you kind of expect regardless of game, right? EU and NA, different stylistic approaches.
It's going to be sloppier. That's what we do in NA, but it can be a whole lot more exciting at times. Avast, give me your preview of what we should expect before we see Sentinels in the grand finals for NA tonight. What are we hoping to see here in the Challenger match?
I mean, realistically, we're probably going to see a very close matchup. I mean, hopefully it's a lot more reminiscent of Pep's LG, which would happen in EU versus VP Peps. Obviously, they are going to have that disadvantage of playing a series previously, but these teams have played a lot, and they have a very similar power level. I think comparatively, they have very strong rosters. And like ZP hit on there, is that it's going to be the coordination, because when you watch some of the best teams play, it's when the neutral ends, when you get to these very ult-heavy fights, it's all about the coordination, the cycling of those ults. Can you burn through the Fate of Both Worlds? Can you get a Kraken impact out just in time to, get the culling effect, get that instant 20% execute on the health? And I think that realistically, when you see these squads, they're going to be scrappy, but they're going to be close. And you really have to keep an eye on just how well those duels players are going to be performing and getting picks, and also making sure to avoid a lot of the value from the strategist ults.
If you're looking above, we had a fantastic 5-game series between Luminosity and Team Peps. Peps ran out of gas against Virtus Pro, but now we have turned our attention to North America. This is our opening fight. It'll be a best of 5. So first to 3 wins moves on. The winner, of course, playing Sentinels in a best of 7 for another $1,000. Big shout out to our supporters. Also, I don't know if I'll get in trouble for saying this, but I believe we are working on another sponsor. So if you guys got that money, you want your name right next to our logo, you want to be featured on the same screen as ZP, hit up ZP on Twitter at TempoZP. We got this game kicking off in just a moment. I saw that the players were just figuring out how to get in the lobby. ZP, is this always an NA issue? Are the players less intelligent than Europeans?
Well, in my experience, when it comes to the players, it's less about the intelligence again in the lobby and more so the bladder and battle control coming into the game, where I cannot tell you how many times, regardless of game, where you think you're ready to get for NA and you get told someone is on the can. Never fails. Always happens, and the bathroom breaks in NA, historically, vastly more common than in EU. In EU, I'm not even convinced they use the bathroom. That's just kind of where I'm at least not in the middle of a series. I think they're more just gentlemanly about when they go.
Yeah,
fiber difference.
Yeah.
Extreme fiber difference.
Kaluj says this is going to be a 3-0 Intergalactic, and it's not even close, by the way. Do you trust Kaluj at this point of that?
I'm going to be honest, if people are familiar with Kaluj's background, notorious troll. However, he might not be trolling in this particular instance. It could be a 3-0, but also that's just sometimes the way it goes in Marvel Rivals. I feel like the snowball is very, very powerful in this game, and you can just like lose a series off of one ult, one mistimed ability, and realistically 3-0 is possible, but as everyone should know, Ludodon, otherwise known as Kaluj, he is the troll, and we should think for ourselves, independent thinkers here on the broadcast. So I'm going to pray for a better game than that.
I think we had to hit up Kaluj's management and be like, hey, could you play as like your name? Like not like another name, like your real name, like Kaluj. That'd be cool.
I literally went to Crimzo at the beginning of the day and said, hey, look, I know Kaluj has been playing as Ludodon, but you've given us his roster name as Kaluj. Can you make him change his name to Kaluj? He's like, oh yeah, he'll just get an account named Kaluj. It's like, great. So we got that sorted. You don't want that confusion where people are like, they keep saying Kaluj, but who's this Ludodon guy? No.
Yeah, we got it all sorted out. Shout out to Gator back in the chat as well. Kaluj, sorry for giving you a hard time. Thank you for playing for us tonight. Best of luck with your $1,000 matchup upcoming. Leg day has been here since the beginning. It's over 2 a.m. and he has been waiting for this moment. The Royal Palace, the opening domination. Avast, get me excited.
I mean, Royal Palace, domination in general, you're going to see some very, very hectic fights. is you're going to be seeing high ground plays. You're going to be seeing everything all over. And the most important part we head into this series, and I think ZP and I are both going to watch out for yourself, of course, Puckett on the desk, because I know you're going to be watching this very closely, is what are the bans coming out for these teams? Because the ban meta here for the ban protect phase is so important to determine what are the comps you're going to see. Are they going to be choosing to prioritize Hela? Are they going to want to play a triple Vanguard style with maybe, throwing an Iron Fist on the Duelist, throw in, maybe even just a Namor? It really just depends on what the teams are choosing to prioritize right now, because there has been a little bit of a meta shift going on, and really everyone's still experimenting since the game's so early of like, what is the best comp? But you're probably going to see still a lot of Winter Soldier, always be expecting to see the Bionic Hooks come out, a lot of Kraken Impacts come out, and a lot of Cholines.
ZP, my brother just texted me, what is this game? So my brother watched me when I was working on Overwatch League. It was a little overwhelming. As a Halo guy, there was a lot of colors, a lot of stuff going on. This game is Overwatch plus another level with the team ups. So can you explain what a team up is in this game? Because the picks and bans can totally negate one of those before we even get into the map.
Well, what Team Up is, first and foremost, right, is that you're making a game with the Marvel IP. How do you want to approach it, right? These are characters that have deep relationships with each other, that have been in like multiple issues with each other for decades. And how do you respect that in game? It's like, oh yeah, if these two heroes were playing with each other, they'd probably do some cool combo attacks, right? So I feel like that was the philosophy that went in behind it, and just the idea of certain compositions, if you run two heroes that you would expect lore-wise to kind of work well together, they probably have special abilities when they work together. Things like the Black Widow Hawkeye team up, where they're going to be hitting harder, and Widow's going to be benefiting from being able to take advantage of Hawkeye's after images, right? It just, you have stuff like that involved where it's like, oh, these two characters have worked together a lot in lore, and if I play them together, I get a benefit. That's awesome.
Yeah, so John, to simplify it, Hulk can throw Wolverine like a cannonball. It's pretty dope. You're going to see some awesome stuff tonight. Avast, we have our map. We're about to get into the ban and protect stage. If you are trying to remove the strength of the enemy team, who are the key, characters right now that can just totally dictate the playstyle?
I mean, we saw it a lot in the EU series. If you were here, if you weren't here, Wolverine. Wolverine is 100% a hero that many people have to be afraid of, especially if you don't have a fantastic Wolverine of your own, because he requires so many resources. If you have that Magneto, he has to take every bulwark for your allies to keep alive when the Pharaoh leap comes out. If you're playing the Thing, he has to take all the embattled leaps to get the damage reduction, plus the immobilization zone from the Yancey Street charge. So pretty much, Wolverine has to go. We have to do something about this guy. Otherwise, it really depends on the team. It depends on what their strengths are. You likely will see, potentially Loki getting banned to prevent team ups from Hela, because she gets those limbs. You're able to get the instant reses or the bonus health as well that goes on to Thor or to Loki. Also, just the regeneration domain in general is so powerful. And then sometimes teams don't want to play Groot, even though Groot right now is an extreme meta pick. You might see teams want to get rid of the Groot, try to force more dive-style compositions. It really just depends on the squad, but really be on the lookout for like Wolverines, Lokis, potentially Hela, just to get them out of the way.
ZP, do we see any non-2-2-2 comps coming out of the NA teams here for domination?
It wouldn't be unheard of, especially when you look to Sentinels. Sentinels is a team where every now and then they decide, you know what? Let's do it old 3-2-1. They don't go full goats, but they do say, we're going to do 3 Vanguards, back it up with 2 strategists, and then we'll put all our DPS eggs into the Storm basket, maybe into the Winter Soldier basket. Generally speaking, if you do a 3-2-1 setup, it's going to be first point oftentimes, not usually second and third. Something to sort of gum up the works, draw time off the clock, but then you're still pairing it with like an over-the-top, really powerful duelist character, right? That could shine even when they're the only one that you have.
Shout out to all of our co-streamers. The hard part is over. The players have figured out how to get into the lobby, and we can begin the ban and protect phase. Opening up first, we will see a Wolverine removed, so no one's getting abducted this game.
No Wolverine on the field is pretty big there for Extinction. I mean, I've seen some of the games here from Intergalactic. And Intergalactic, I mean, they have a strong Wolverine player, like you talked about, Senior Hoff. I mean, he is very, very strong on that pick. So very good that it's out of the way for Extinction. I'm sure they'll bring the side relief as Namor gets banned, which also means that we could be seeing some dive, Puckett and ZP. A little bit of dive coming out here.
Yeah, look at the protect right now. Here's the telling part, right? Anytime you go to protect phase after the bans, you kind of get an idea of how are they going to build the composition, right? What are you going to go around? And they protect Loki. that makes sense, because you think about just watching NA competition, well, really competition in general, Loki is very much in the we're either going to play him or we're going to ban him type of mode, right? It's just way too strong as a strategist right now relative to how a lot of people run. So at this point, makes sense. But the Thing Protect coming out also kind of makes sense. It's more of a North American special where North America has been way more bullish on the Thing comps.
Avast, what time is it?
Clobbering time, Puckett.
Good answer. Good answer, my friend. Nailed it.
Depends on what the final
on the
ban
night.
here is, too. I think on like what pretty much what Intergalactic want to do here, what their final pick wants to be. Because with Groot being gone here as well, that means that they're like, okay, you can double shield it up. You can play a Doctor Strange. You could play Magneto. It's going to be Storm, which means that we are looking for a very ground-based battle more than likely, unless they want to play Star-Lord, which is a really, really meta pick right now. Star-Lord so strong with the Galactic Legend, also the Blaster Barrage, and also just those propulsions. The propulsion be able to get around the map almost infinitely because it's not a cooldown, it's on a resource meter. So could be a very likely pick as well into a team that maybe for Extinction wants to play a little bit more ground-based game with the Thing.
ZP, we're going to Royal Palace. We've seen a whole lot of Magneto. Do you combo Magneto with Thing?
I think you combo Magneto with anything you want right now. I think Magneto is just the one character in the game, especially from the Vanguard point of view, that it's hard not to get value with Magneto. Sure, some teams might not always play him, but it's also hard at times to say, oh, you shouldn't have Magneto here, just because Meteor M is one of the best delete strategist buttons in the game. On top of also being an ultimate that can be used to save your team, depending on what's coming in. There's times where you'll see a team come in with a Punisher ultimate, and it's just immediate Meteor M directed at the Punisher, just instantaneous reaction. So yeah, seeing either team run Magneto, not too surprising to me.
We have 4 of Seagull's flock making their way into our Twitch chat. Shout out to everyone on YouTube as well as X.com, better known as Twitter. This is Rivals Fight Night. This is North America. Your challengers match begins. Intergalactic versus Extinction. Avast and ZP on the mic.
Avast, as we take a look at this here, you look at the difference between the team comps here. One team, well, here's the thing, and the other team, not so much.
You said my line. You said my line, ZP, as everyone rolls out here. Intergalactic going to be looking for a lot of poke, obviously. He's laughing. He took my line, and he's laughing.
I do what I did.
And really, it's still going to be a relatively similar composition, right? With Winter Soldier and Hela on both these teams. There's going to be a lot of neutral poking, a lot of just fighting without the ults yet. And really, we have to look at Pinnacle to make a lot of space with the charges, with the embattled leaps, to just try to force Intergalactic back and give some more space to his DPS, or rather his duelists.
And the other thing I'm looking at here too, you look at Strange in the front line, but it's also the Hela battle that's going to be taking place up above. And top one gun in real danger right now, getting poked all sorts of down. It's got to be doomed on the other end. So Hela pressure going to be a little bit better for Intergalactic to kick things off here. Both teams struggling, building up towards first ultimates here, and already got a mischief on deck as Doom takes down his counterpart.
And there's going to be the invisible boundary coming out from that God of Mischief copy, as right now Intergalactic needs to back up. They're looking for an engage, and there is going to be the Fate of Both Worlds. A lot of damage coming out here from the boost as Nook just trying to rotate back and forth here on the auras. In Extinction, they need to back up here a little bit as they've lost another player. They've lost Flamme.
Yeah, I mean, the early pickoff goes against them, and Intergalactic just smart in cycling ultimates after. And now you take a look as we head into the next fight here. Intergalactic still has enough gas in the tank here of Vast to keep it rolling forward. They can use Hela to stall, and they can also, of course, just Fate of Two Worlds to kick things off. They have both worlds.
Of course, and there's so much sustain as well, because remember, there's the team up going on between the Loki and the Hela. So anytime that Hela gets a finishing blow, they're going to be able to res the Loki if they're down, or just give them bonus health. So there's so much sustain here for both these teams as the poke happening. Soldier, and you're not going to find the Winter Soldier there, as there's the Astral Flock. Doomed had to back up, and there is going to be the Goddess of Death looking to force Strategil, and it is going to be the invisible boundary used.
Yeah, immediately you see the response of Meteor M, and not going to get too much at the end of Goddess of Death as the Extinction trying to make this their time. Kraken Impact out here from Senior Hoff. Not too much happening there. A little bit of headway now being made here by Extinction onto the point. Flamme able to get one. Intergalactic fighting back. Agamotto used, and Extinction still looking relatively pretty. Kraken Impact now out, going the other way. 2 down. And Avast, they're just going to evict Intergalactic from the point.
Evicted, and also, not getting the Omega resets there for the Kraken Impact, but still more than enough value for Felipe there. Getting to the regeneration domain was already used, which was one of the most crucial cooldowns you can have the strategist to kind of deny a lot of those ult impacts, especially versus the Kraken Impact. As Extinction holding high ground, they are going to have the God of Mischief, so they can sustain here. They have the Goddess of Death too, so really just a lot of options to sit here, force a lot of cooldowns early for Intergalactic, because they have to think about how do we get in, how do we get them off our high ground.
Well, if you're God Mischief, apparently all you want to do is become a pop star, is what we see in this composition. But Extinction just holding here at the choke. Thing versus Thing action between the two. Leap back to the remainder of the team. Extinction looking for a little bit of a disengage here. God Mischief in action. It's going to be Invisible Boundary placed instead here, creating a little bit of a room here to hop on over. Both things, a little bit fisticuffs. Goddess of Death been used here by Top One Gun, and immediately just burned out. Not something that lasts forever, I've asked in these fights.
100%. And Intergalactic already down 1, and more importantly, Monotone gonna have the later Invisible Barrier. There's going to be the Kraken Impact coming out on a senior off, going to be getting 2 from Shlevi, and Extinction holding so strong here on the point. And that early pressure onto Window took so much damage on the high ground, having to use the Embattled Leap, having to use the Yancey Sweet Charge means that Intergalactic, they didn't have a lot of health going into the fight. They had to use some cooldowns early, and they had to burn, most importantly, their Strategies ult, that Fate of Both Worlds, very, very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, how's Intergalactic run into this next fight right now? I mean, you look at tools you want to entry in, it's not ideal. I mean, maybe you go for clobbering time, but time is also not on their side anymore, Vast.
No, and really they had the Meteor M. They might have to use it offensively here. Pop it, absorb a lot of the damage. They know there's no Strategies ults up. Yep, there is going to be the Meteor M coming out, and does he get one? No, he does not, but it has made the space here. Intergalactic has made it off the high ground. They're desperately trying to touch the point, and they can't. Oh, no, ZP.
You know what? It may be a new game, a new broadcast, but letter number never dies is what I'm seeing from there, Vast. But
to be fair, I don't think that was a homegrown C9. I do think that was a Thing charge, like pushing him off there a little bit. So unfortunately, Impunity just could not get the touch, but still a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and I think you have to give it up for Extinction there, where that round didn't really start particularly well for them, right? Like, they end up losing first fight. Doomed ends up getting the better of Top One Gun on the Hella v Hella matchup. And, you know, first fight pickoffs, pretty rough for Extinction. Eventually, though, they're able to cycle ults effectively, get back in onto the point, and then they just hold, Vest. They just simply hold after they get control.
And that's what's so powerful about these positions here on the dominance game mode is that, or domination game mode, is that once you have that initial cap, you're able to take very, very aggressive positions, especially when there's a high ground differential, which most of these maps will have, and you can just poke so aggressively, just trying to make the other team use ults just to get out of the spawn, just to make it to the point.
We got swapped, by the way. Senior Hoff now hopping over the Star-Lord. A little bit of change up here, more wide open stage. You like this swap?
I do. I think there's been a lot of Star-Lord play, and it's so important because Star-Lord is not only so mobile because of that rocket propulsion, but just as importantly, the shift. He's invincible during that time, and he's able to just like continue to go in. There's right there. Look at that. There's the Blaster Barrage forcing the Regeneration Domain and the Invisible Barrier.
Yeah, it's a great early strike. Now for Intergalactic, they're actually going back in. They're not actually respecting the Invisible or Boundary all that much at all. And Doomed in over the top. Goddess of Death immediately grounded. Meteor M being thrown in by Blue. FPS on the other end. Both teams still at full strength. Invisible Boundary gonna be dropped now by Extinction. Intergalactic Extinction fight tooth and nail. Support ults being used. Intergalactic countering. Fate of Both Worlds. And now it's Top One Guns. Goddess of Death living up to the name this time. Not taken out early.
And that was just beautifully played from Extinction. Extinction, sure, they had to pop that Invisible Boundary earlier from the God of Mischief from Flamme, but the great thing about Loki is that Flamme's already doing 60% to another one of those ults. It builds so quickly, you just farm damage and healing from the mystical missiles there and from running the doppelgangers and just pretty much everywhere throughout the map. And having that late Hella ult after they committed, after they tried to use all their ults to get in there, just meant it was a pretty easy cleanup there for Extinction. And now Intergalactic needing to recontest. They are going to have 2 ults, soon to be 3, but not, I would say, ults that are going to be very, very easy. But there is no Strategist ult for Extinction.
When they start out Galactic Legend, look at the force outs and cooldowns, maybe get a kill if you're lucky, or just burn down the Hella. Senior Hoff, great positioning. Blaster Barrage follows it up. Clean, easy engage here from Intergalactic, and very efficient when it comes to economy of Vast.
And Extinction, I mean, they just desperately needed to get that God Initiative up a little bit earlier so they had the chance to maybe pop an Invisible Boundary. They tried their best with the Regeneration Domain with the Doppelgangers, but unfortunately Intergalactic they knew their win condition. They knew there was no Strategist up just yet for Extinction, so they could get in there, pop the Galactic Legend with Window, making the space alongside Impunity, and that was really well played.
Extinction now looking for the way in, 40% to 37%. Very even here on our second stage on Royal Palace. Bionic Arm looking for the pull. It's going to be enough. Instead, Meteor M going to be used in response. Visual Boundary down in response. Both teams tooth and nail right now, looking for the key first pick off. Crack and impact still in reserve. Here we go. Looking to the back line. Loki clone first, going reset. One more time, drops on in. Has another on deck if needed. Opening the way here, helping Doom to get the first pick off. Invisible boundary gonna be down once more. Extinction trying to buy some stall here if Ostwald down.
And unfortunately, I mean, Doom getting that pick, like you called out, was so crucial because now they're having to fight back here from a disadvantage. They're backing up. They've lost all this point control and Extinction. I mean, they're going to have to back here just a bit as Intergalactic continue to hold on to the point. So well played from Doomed after those ults are exchanged, just looking for that early pick. And Extinction here having to walk again. They're going to have the Goddess of Death CP, but Intergalactic, they're likely just going to go in with the Galactic Legend early, knowing there's no strategy. There it is.
And direct onto the Hela. Absolutely good for the Hela. Forces out the Goddess of Death as a saving maneuver. And that was just, can I stay alive? No, you just get burned down. Doesn't even matter they used her ult. That is legendary in and of itself. Blaster Barrage right into the backline. Senior Hoff showing off the power of Star-Lord here.
And exactly what I thought was going to happen there did happen. And it was so well played from Intergalactic where the Star-Lord pressure, and that's why that map in particular, the Bifrost Garden, is so strong for that hero because he has so much room to maneuver. And Hela, sure, she can get up in the air with the ult, and she can zoom around with the Astral Flock, but she does not have nearly as much presence in that air, as much ability to just like force a fight, despite, you know, she has great pick potential, but not nearly as much overall pressure. And they used that Star-Lord so well for Senior Hoff, just continuing to give the bulwarks, letting him be really, really aggressive. And Galactic Legend is just brutal when there's no strategy ults available. Even if you have like the regeneration domain from the Loki, it just only saves you some time.
Well, particularly too, on a map like that, there's not a lot of natural cover. It's so wide open that Star-Lord essentially has the skies to himself. And you think about the tank composition you're up against, realistically speaking, sure, you know, Magneto can provide some protection within there, but if you're running a Thing can just kind of be like, hey, moral support. You know, could leap to you, but overall, it's actually quite hard to keep the Hell alive there, even using Goddess of Death as a defensive cooldown. Then, you know, even as we change stages here, Avast, we still got the Star-Lord on deck.
Very strong point for this, honestly. So there's still a lot of room, a lot of headroom for Star-Lord to move around for Senior Hoff. Intergalactic rolling out here, looking once again to set up a charge, try to catch someone with the immobilization field. As Extinction, they're going to be poking, they're going to be looking for anything because while they have the Winter Soldier, they have a lot of options to potentially get an early pick from the Bionic Hook from Schleepai, but so far, not finding much.
I just got Window smashing their way on in. Down to the back, looking for the Doctor Strange, drops on in, clobbering time ready. Magneto out of the fight. A little bit of repositioning here. Both teams down one, though. Doom was able to win the Hela v Hela matchup, so 5v5 and early control going to Intergalactic here.
Now, they did use the God of Mischief, you know, pop a Fate of Both Worlds there with the copy, but still, I mean, you'll take a first fight win 100% for Intergalactic. Because now they're going to be controlling the point. In Extinction, they're going to be likely just looking to use the God of Mischief of their own, just open up the space. So they come here to the high ground. And Intergalactic, they should not let them in for free. They should try to keep them here in the choke and make them use a lot of cooldowns just to get out. As Extinction, I mean, they're nearing nearly 4 ults.
You gotta think they want to open clobbering time here if they have seize the opportunity. Clobbering time immediately coming down. This fall through gonna be there though. Forces out Fate of Both Worlds in from Flamme. So that's in response to clobbering time. Crack and impact from Schleepai. Looking. For now, just onto Thing, backed out. The Agains have been silenced. Still looking for an entry in. Now, Fate of Both Worlds in once more for Intergalactic, the real version. We'll see where this one goes.
Here comes the Galactic Legends ZP, and what's so crucial here is that they're gonna force the Fate of Both Worlds here right now, and also, I mean, too late, it's already over. The Fate of Both Worlds is ending, and the Galactic Legend now off the very late pop. They can just push, they can take all these kills, or rather, all these limbs very, very late, as Intergalactic gonna keep chasing here, trying to find some more staggers.
This is absolutely ridiculous. It's where Star-Lord also shines, where after you've gotten a numerical advantage in the fight, the other team just is trying to desperately disengage. He's got jet boots to just chase everyone down. Ridiculous.
There's another reason why Star-Lord's been seeing so much play here. The chase so strong as Doom getting a very late pick, as Schleepai has made the swap onto Star-Lord in return, going for the mirror here. Saying, okay, you know what? Well, not the full mirror, obviously, because no Thing for Extinction, but trying to contest them a little bit more as they're being so aggressive. The Blaster Barrage coming in, there's the Bulwark, and Window just giving them no space here on the Thing, continuing to take the fight to them.
The focus fire from Intergalactic has been incredible, but Extinction, 5% left to go. They must get on point. Map 1 at stake here in our best of 5 Rivals Fight Night. Top 1 gun into the air. Here is Hela. Goddess of Death in action, looking for any vulnerable targets. Might have that, the Luna in the back! Does! High value pickoff here for Extinction as they look to stay in this round.
Oh, and Sleepy there gets the Galactic Legend. There's no strategy results right now for Intergalactic. And Fidel going down there was so huge. One important find for top 1 Guns player who, yeah, did his best Sia cosplay, took down to Chandelier. But more importantly, now I guess it's more of a Miley Cyrus, I guess, than a Sia. It's more of a Miley Cyrus. But very, very important for Extinction there to get that pick from top 1 Guns player onto Fidel. Denies all the healing, denies the chance to build a Fate of Both Worlds. And then Sleepy can pop that Intergalactic Legend with pretty much no contests. No strategy ult at all.
I think that the key is here, though, is that Intergalactic, they were able to be so aggressive at holding. Extinction's comp of S, it's not really built to going directly into the choke point. It's more of a wait-and-see sort of situation, and they have to be perfect from here on out. Meteor M coming on in from Impunity, looking, just deletes 2 effectively with the aid of Senior Hoff. Intergalactic immediately back in there. Fate of Both Worlds to seal the deal. And this is looking like map 1 will go the way of Intergalactic.
And we talk a lot about the value of Magneto, and there it was right there for Impunity, who comes in, immediately deletes Monotone. The Fate of Both Worlds gets popped. That's the only thing that can burst through that strategy ult. That's one of the only few abilities, you know, without the use of like a crack and impact or anything like that, is the contest is going to come out here, and it looks like Intergalactic, they should still just clean up all these kills.
They went straight up into Hela's realm there off the portal. It's just like, this was not exactly where we expected to go, as Hela's just raining down death via the Goddess of Death. That's Intergalactic Avast taking map 1, and you know, to me, the entire tempo of the match just seemed to shift once Star-Lord came into play.
100%, and I think as my PC there lags a little bit, because I'm gonna be honest, ZP, I'm just saying 100% because I don't know what you just said, because my PC DC'd for like
I said the tempo shifted once Star-Lord came into play, you know, for round 2 on. Senior Hoff.
So crucial, crucial. And I 100% agree, because Star-Lord, it just gives, there's a reason he's been played a lot for a lot of different teams across EU and NA, and it's just so much mobility. You have so much mobility, you have the ability to pressure throughout all the map, you're constantly synergizing with, you know, maybe if you have a Mantis, you can have the ability to actually get a, you know, a Cocoon so you can revive, or you just have the Magneto, you can get the Bulwarks, you can pressure effectively with your Blaster Barrages, with your Galactic Legends, and because of that mobility, it's very, very hard to pin Star-Lord down, and he does a lot of damage.
And you look at who is doing damage here too, backing all of it up, where, yeah, Star-Lord pretty effective, especially on the final blows end, but look who's in the thick of things with Window, where this is one thing we see, whether it be on heroes like Groot or in this case Thing. I mean, you rely on your tanks to do a good amount of your damage output to sort of act as the check on otherwise really, really strong heals in the game from the strategist lineup, but, you know, we're going in the highlights here, and, Goddess of Death had its moments, especially here.
Top 1 Guns player, I mean, consistently has been a very strong player for Extinction. I think has a very clutch ults, but the real story here is you watch the Galactic Legend. Now, I don't know, yeah, this one actually is going to be one of the ones to watch, because Galactic Legend and the way that you can force those strategist ults early, which is what Intergalactic did repeatedly, just getting the pressure on, forcing the strategist ult, means that you can just pop a free Galactic Legend. You put a metal or an iron bulwark on him, and he just goes on in, cleans up, and there's very little you can do if you don't have a Star-Lord of your own to contest. I mean, you know, you do have a Winter Soldier who's all around probably the most meta duelist, but it doesn't have these strengths here, these very niche strengths of just being able to abuse these very, very high ceilings.
I think to an extent you are a little dependent on your Hela player if you're running a Hela to act as a check on the Star-Lord, right? Like Hela, of course, doesn't really care if you're in the sky or on the ground. And we saw that on the other end, right? Where Doomed, you know, Sleepy came in on the Star-Lord, and he was basically baptized with a few Hela daggers to the face. That's how that one worked out. But Puckett, we're back in it here. You just saw map 1. What you like?
I like the Thing. So I got 2 questions for you. One, does the Thing take damage?
Does he
yes, is the first answer. He does take damage, but in that particular match, he was not taking damage.
Okay, and then 2, should Monotone be doing as much damage because he had 8,000 less healing, but on Luna Snow, it seemed like he was prioritizing maybe helping out in the team fights?
Well, I mean, you know, that's a question. I think that's a question for the teams themselves, right, Puckett? And I think for Extinction's the unfortunate reality for them is that they were on the back foot a lot. They were on the back foot a lot. And when you're sitting there, it's like, okay, well, I'm Luna Snow. I'm going to be trying to, or even when I'm playing Invisible Woman, I need to make a play. I need to have something happen. And both Invisible Woman and Luna Snow can do a decent amount of damage with the icy arts that pierce. And even Invisible Woman's primary fire does pierce through enemies when it comes back to her. But the reality is, no, she probably should not have, I mean, or I'd rather Monotone should not have been doing as much damage as they were. They probably should have been doing some more healing, but everyone was dead. So they probably just couldn't heal as much as they wanted to.
Okay, so it's just domination in the flow of the game type thing. I was just trying to think about this early on in the series. Will we see an aggressive strategist like a Mantis coming out later? Intergalactic takes this one. It goes to our first round 3 of domination. So ZP, how tight is the matchup from what you've seen?
I think it's a lot tighter than people might have expected going in, where, at least by people, I mean Kalush. Kalush was very bullish on Intergalactic just sweeping, and look, maybe it'll be a sweep, but also could be one of those classic, it was closer than we expected. You know, there's 3 O's and then there's 3 O's. And I think between the two teams, I think what you saw from Extinction was that maybe certain matchup compositions are less favorable for them. Like, if them going in here, getting rid of the Star-Lord could be a good idea, just given how they performed in the Star-Lord mirror, which was not very good.
Is there a counter to the thing? What's the hard counter with no Wolverine?
Realistically, I wouldn't say there necessarily is a hard counter, but there's comps that you can definitely punish the thing on. I mean, you can never go wrong with having like Hela, Winter Soldier, having a very strong front line. The simple reality is the thing has to be punished by the overall comp, right? Without a Wolverine, there is no true hard counter to a Vanguard. And I mean, Loki's been protected, Namor's been protected. So
is this a Luna ban?
We're looking at potentially, once again, like we're gonna see like I mean, if there's no Luna ban, Namor's definitely getting played like 100%. I feel if you're gonna protect Namor.
Hi, little one. Surprise!
Oh, there we
guest.
go.
We got a mini Puckett in the building. And there is the Luna ban, as predicted. Sorry, Squid Boy, you can put your icy one on chill. It's just the 2 little guys. Now, Avast, without your icy squid, is it even worth playing? Like, can you still make use of Namor the same level as the other duelists?
Without the frozen spawn, which no is not the name for the shrimp you're going to find in the freezer section, but I do think that overall that Namor could still get plenty of play. Namor could still get tons of play here, and he's a very overall strong hero. I mean, you have the aquatic dominion, you have the ability to just like constantly pressure people from the flanks, which you see a lot of Namors do, where they just constantly go for the flank picks, drop the aquatic dominion, and get an early pick on like a strategist or maybe a duelist. So even with Luna Snow gone, doesn't mean that Namor is going to be gone. And for Usual Path in particular, this map, there's a lot of flank potential, especially because you have the Blessing of the Deep to get up to high ground to rotate, you know, out of bad positions, because you're invincible to all damage during that time. So we shouldn't count out Namor yet. We definitely should not.
Absolutely. ZP, it is a party here on Rivals Fight Night. Everyone staying up past their bedtime. Shout out to the Europeans. We're going game 2, though, between the NA squads. Intergalactic looking for 2 maps in a row.
You know, one tradition of Avast that has continued here, because I don't believe we're going to see it. Maybe we will. I don't think so. I feel like the spawn room hero trolling continues. The Shlipai showing the Widow. But wait, the gates are... The gates are open. The Widow is still here. What is going on?
The gates might be open, but don't necessarily trust it. I do think if there's any map to play the Black Widow, it's going to be this map, because the sightlines are so huge, CP. But really, you see the portal tech here. Look at this behind them. That's going to be the portal used from Blue to let Shlipai actually peek behind Intergalactic, trying to get a pick. They're a little cheeky with it, but see, there's no pick, so they're going to make the swap.
Yeah, it's a quick swap. Again, some habits perhaps do not change. But it is Extinction on the attack. Intergalactic back once more on the defense. And, you know, interestingly enough, you take a look at compositions here. Shlipai gonna be over to Star-Lord. Not Star-Lord on the other end. So perhaps clearer skies for Shlipai this time around. A lot of ult building beginning, but also the Hela pressure just says no way.
And really here for this map, I mean, comparatively to the last domination that we just saw to the Royal Palace, is that Hela has a lot more options to deal with the Star-Lord. Hela with the Soul Drainer can, and because also the skybox isn't quite as high, especially in this early part of the map here, the push for Extinction, is that Doom's gonna have a lot more options, and Senior Hawk both, to contest Shlipai. I mean, you know, you can either try to fight the flanks, or you can sit in front of the rest of the team and look for poke damage, but it's not gonna be nearly as effective because you're just shooting a bunch of Vanguards.
On some level, obviously it's a full-on team thing, but at some level, what is it on your Hela to stop the other Hela here? Because I feel like Doom has just been a huge brick wall. Window, though, down. See how Extinction takes advantage of that. Intergalactic down a Vanguard early on. And we got Goddess of Death in over the top from top one Guns player. Looking to break things.
Oh my gosh, that might be the most impactful tainted voltage I've ever seen. ZP, that's going to be the orb from Street Fighter. I've never seen it get two, especially not at this level. I mean, the damage that came in, I mean, off the early pick from Extinction as well, just letting them walk forward, take that fight. Sure, they forced the invisible boundary, and they were all able to force the God of Mischief, which is huge for Intergalactic, because sure, they're not going to be able to hold on first, but can they get out with the portal?
Well, they get out with the portal, and now they immediately use God of Mischief, drop the invisible boundary, and take the fight to Extinction. Extinction, you gotta look to blue FPS here. Has the Meteor M on deck. Doom, though, able to take down Hella. 2 already down. There won't be a Meteor M coming on in. And Intergalactic, that is a full-on recontest that forces Extinction back to spawn.
I mean, the clobbering time. Here's the thing, ZP. Here's the thing, is that clobbering time will sometimes do that because Extinction, they popped both their strategies earlier in the fight. Sure, they traded with Intergalactic, but because they have that portal available for the recontest, they had to be so careful in that fight for something like that happen to come out from the Vanguard and come out from Window. And Window played that perfectly, getting through the portal, dropping the clobbering time, taking so much space, allowing the picks to come through. As now Extinction are back to square one, just coming back up here through the street, through the hill.
They have to find some way of entry. I mean, they have 2 Vanguard ultimates online. They go for the Bionic Arm Pull, does not hit. Extinction dealing time against them. Kraken Impact to kick things off. Gets 2. Schleepai with the pull. Doomed. Goddess of Death under pressure. Meanwhile, Schleepai still saying again and again and again. Gets another and goes for one more. There's no brakes on this train.
Oh, that last one gets interrupted, so unlikely they're getting another cooldown reset there, but still the space, the picks got it from Extinction, from Schleepai, allowing them to finally get this point A. As Intergalactic going to set up here, they did not get any back spawns, so they're all going to be available here to take this next fight. They will have the Eye of Agamotto, and they're also, I mean, pretty much both Vanguard ults here. As Extinction continuing to look to make this progress go further here, you want to carry this momentum forward, and you have both strategists ult, which means you can survive the Vanguard ult pretty easily. You just have to be wary of Impunity's Meteor M, which is pretty much the only thing that can burn you through those strategists ult.
Yeah, I mean, Senior Hoff also could just be really, really sneaky with Eye of Agamotto, but Pinnacle moving on in. No clobbering time yet, just a little bit of disengage on the other end. Meanwhile, Agamotto coming on in. Meteor M in over the top. Where's the targeting gonna go? Into the back line, but it's a great regeneration domain into the back. No one dead yet for Extinction. Now Flamme, God of Mischief, keeping Extinction in the fight. Pinnacle drops clobbering time, and it's Intergalactic down 2 here, Vast. Now is question more of stall.
Down 2, and they want to commit. I mean, they drop the invisible boundary and the clobbering time for Window. They find everyone, and I thought that fight was over off of some amazing plays from Extinction because, I mean, top 1 Guns player hits the Soul Drainer and pretty much denies the Eye of Agamotto entirely, but from Window. But, I mean, luckily, or rather, denies the Eye of Agamotto entirely. And then additionally, they have the Force Physics to get the pick as well onto that Doctor Strange. But they just get caught by the clobbering time. The invisible boundary keeps everyone alive, and Intergalactic played that so well.
Extinction back on in. Intergalactic looking to hold on. Minute 30 left here. Time not really on Extinction's side. Been a very good defense from Intergalactic so far. Unity. Laying in some poke here on the Magneto. Top 1 Guns player, though, able to get a great pick on the Star-Lord. Sets things up. Kraken Impact now. Schleepai looking to snowball over and in. Gets another pick. Extinction up 2. And this time, Vast, I don't think ults are going to save Intergalactic on this push.
No, and that's one of those times where you talked about, what does your Hello player have to do? That's what your Hello player has to do, ZP. It has to get the early pick, has to open up, especially in a fight when there's not as many ults on the board. As Extinction finally getting to round the bin here a little bit, but Intergalactic having to recontest through the choke as Impunity coming through early, just dropped the Meteor M just to get in.
Meteor M, no pickoffs that time around. Schleepai, though, finds thing early. Meteor M in or the top, looking. Doom, though, is able to pick off Flamme. Big pickoff here for Intergalactic, still into the fight. Goddess of Death gonna be popped. And Extinction right now, just a little bit scattered, having to take cover in the cubby hole here. The Invisible Boundary now going to use as Extinction tries to reset the fight. Top 1 Guns player down, both Hellas out of the fight. Schleepai here on Winter Soldier trying to make something happen, but guess what? It might be clobbering time. Window looking for the opportunity here and now.
Yes, they have to be watching here because Window, I mean, holds on to the clobbering time. There's no strategy ult for Extinction. There's the bulwark used. Are they going to go for it? No, they're still holding because this spot is so powerful as the boundary popped from the God of Mischief as Window gets in, does not drop. I'm sorry, I thought it was going to be clobbering time, but they're just going to wait to kill the Runestones, get rid, and there it finally comes in.
No kills though. Absolutely no kills come off the clobbering time, and top 1 Guns player turns around on Domed. Now, top 1 Guns player, Gauss to death over the top, not instantly dying, putting the pressure onto Loki, takes down Loki, gets the thing for good measure, and that is a reversal of fortune and then some as top 1 Guns player continues to roll forward.
Extinction not living up to their name. They are not extinct yet. They are continuing to fight back against the linear passage of time here, ZP, because they really, with their backs against the wall, they've been continuing to get clutches. I mean, I thought there in that moment, the God of Mischief gets popped. They walk forward, Window. They know they had forced the regeneration domain. They can pop the clobbering time, get those picks. They just couldn't. They couldn't. They had the cooldowns available. Everyone lived as Extinction gets those picks yet again. The top 1 Guns player continues to get so much value here on the Hela. And Intergalactic, I mean, they have to be thinking, like, what are we going to do about this guy?
Well, I'm going to open up here Invisible Boundary for Extinction. Looking back here, Sleep Eye, Kraken Impact. Over the top, trying to get any sort of reset. Hasn't gotten yet, but now connects, gets the reset, drops on in 3 eliminations. However, Impunity with the Meteor M, evening things out, leaving the fight somewhat winnable here for Intergalactic. 3 on 4 as things start developing. But you look at Blue here in the back, stuck Earthbound, can't Meteor M due to the thing just coming on in. But the payload is still moving forward right now, Avast.
They're getting a lot of pressure even when down those picks. And the Vanguard frontline here for Extinction doing so much. Blue holding on to the Meteor because they want to save it for the strategist ult as the clobbering time comes in, forces the God of Mischief. And this is so huge now because now Senior Hoff can theoretically get some of these resets, keep the Kraken Impact coming through, and they can hopefully chase down these limbs.
You think that'd be the goal right now, though? Okay, goes in over the top, says high ground, Kraken Impact, absolutely.
Oh, so smart.
One more time, over and in. Sleep Eye gone again and again. It just does not stop. Senior Hoff just keeps jumping. And this is in overtime. Final push opportunity for Extinction. They still have to keep running into the Bucky blunder, and it's not working out well.
And that was so well played from Senior Hoff because they popped the Kraken Impact at the end of that fight, and then crucially, he saves it. You have 8 seconds to save to have the cooldown before it expires, and he just made sure to finish the final Loki clone so he could have the Kraken Impact for when the recontest happens again, from when all the rest of the players are trying to come through yet again for Extinction. So Senior Hoff plays that so well, and you're going to see that a lot from Winter Soldier players, where the cooldown management and the resource management of the Kraken Impact when you have like Loki clones, the Loki doppelgangers on the field is so crucial. And in that moment, that really gave them the edge they needed to make sure they could finish the fight.
I think the other thing that's really worth noting there too is just at this level of play, the level of coordination you get off the Kraken Impact too, where you have to think that on comms, your Bucky is straight up just calling, saying, look, I'm going up here, focus fire, right? Because it's a group effort. You open with the Kraken Impact, you get enough damage that they fall down, you get your reset. Like, you need that level of team coordination to keep the Kraken impacts continuing to happen, which is why even at this level of play where, conversely, you'd think the other team would be more on the, okay, how do we keep people alive? It's just difficult when the other team is just so coordinated on the level of, we will focus fire this.
That means I get to do it
100%. As now we look towards Intergalactic's offense here. And what's so important for Intergalactic is that they know their win condition. ZP, we've seen this many times before, and the win condition, knowing what you have to push to, is both a blessing and a curse. And it looks like they're actually be rolling out on the Rocket Raccoon a little early with Fidel, trying to build a very early CYA, get that damage amp. And also when they're working with the Winter Soldier, the very crucial team up, the Infinite Grit, that's pretty much allowing constant damage, infinite ammo.
You're 100% running the Rocket here for your Winter Soldier.
And they've swapped.
Okay, well, at some point you go, maybe you don't need it. Something on the other side, I think, just shifted them away from it, be like, no, we actually don't need Rocket here. 3 bullets in your clip, they'll have to do.
And there's going to be the bulwark onto Window just doing the anti-street charge coming on through, and there's the immobilization as well, but unlikely you're going to find any picks off that note, not just yet as the neutral fight going on. And what's so crucial to watch right now, ZP, what are the ults? What's the God of Mischief here for both Lokis? And it's ticking up. Nook about to have the God of Mischief first.
Not gonna have it first as Window just going bowling. High value off that Yancey Street charge. There's not gonna be enough interruption though for Intergalactic to make this push work. God of Mischief already popped here from Flamay. Extinction looking to force at least the same off Intergalactic. Fisticuffs still flying between both things. Doomed able to take down Hella counterpart. Setting up Intergalactic with the +1 pick. 6v5. Invisible Boundary now going to be dropped. Intergalactic, though, still working at an advantage. As you see Pinnacle right now starting to get poked and prodded down. Meteor M from Impunity in over the top. Back the other way. No! As the Kraken Impact used. Not going to get hit by it. Shlipai takes down one. Extinction fighting on back.
Oh, and there was just a series of unfortunate events. However, the fight is still going on. As Doom gonna go down very, very late. As Intergalactic holding here on the point, the off angle right now for Senior Hoff, just doing so much. Playing here on the flank with the regeneration domain. Gonna have another Kraken Impact. Gonna make Pinnacle try to back up here a little bit, but Extinction, I mean, their spawns are close. They're holding here on the fight. As Top 1 Guns player finally gonna pop the Goddess of Death. Finding Senior Hoff and pretty much removing them from that flank.
However, immediately getting hit by Doomed on the other end. Doomed doing super, super well in the Hella v Hella matchup. Extinction now stuck fighting this back. 5v6 once more. Meteor M in reserve for blue, looking for the opportunity. Goddess of Death going to be used on the same note. You use Meteor M to take some of those shots away, drop it on down, take down Senior Hoff. Pretty decent value there coming in from the Magneto ultimate. And now the anti-street charge. Extinction fighting tooth and nail. They have not given this up at all so far, Vast.
And Pinnacle going down a little late though, so Intergalactic with the closer spawns can finally maybe round the corner, but not if Top 1 Guns player is going to do that. Top 1 Guns player has had Doom's number on the second half of this map. And now Intergalactic have to wait. They can't fall off the pick. They're going to have to wait for all the respawns to get back up. And sure, Invisible Boundary is going to be up for both squads here. But what's so crucial, what's so important to remember is that the longer this goes on, the better it is for Extinction because they're going to be building plenty of ults. They're going to really have to rely on Impunity's Meteor M here to maybe get some value through the Invisible Boundary and Monotone.
I think you're looking at Impunity or you're looking for Galactic Legend. Senior Hoff should have it built before the minute is up, but we are in the final minute here of point 1. Extinction looking to pick up their first map. Visible Boundary right now being held by Fidel. Just watching Team HP very, very carefully. Intergalactic though getting poked on down and it's not in time. Impunity goes down. That is brutal. The Kraken Impact now gonna feast on the remnants.
And the one hope here is that, okay, 30 seconds remaining. There is going to be time for Intergalactic to make it back. So they can be happy that they at least removed the Kraken Impact. That's gone. They're going to have nearly, I mean, 5 ults for the upcoming fight. But really going to be coming up to a 4 ult situation as well for Extinction. So it is relatively equal. Pinnacle will probably get the clobbering time. And right now, there's going to be so much pressure on how do you force a strategist ult? Where does Top 1 Guns player, or maybe, you know, even Doomed, get the off angle to get a pick early?
I think you start with Galactic Legend. I think you look towards Senior Hoff. What Intergalactic was able to do the last time. Window moves on in. Clobbering time. 2 already down. Galactic Legend not even used. It's the window show. Backed up by Impunity with the Meteor M. 2 down. And Extinction in a rougher spot right now. Senior Hoff pops the Galactic Legend anyway. Sometimes Vast, you better be sure.
I mean, that's just better safe than sorry. I think right there, Intergalactic, like, we do not want to be first held. We were aura farming. We were aura farming, and we've lost aura points now. We almost got first held. And that's probably the best case possible scenario for Intergalactic, outside of saving a couple more ults, is that you go for the initial engage, window goes in with the Iron Bulwark, and they're able to get a humongous clobbering time to get an early pick, stun everyone, and then just follow up, because that's really the best case scenario for them. But now, I mean, they're coming into a fight where Extinction used no ults because they were knocked out so fast that no ults were used here for Extinction. So you have to be really careful not to be caught in the ult cycle.
And I think Extinction, when you look at how this ult cycle may start out, I mean, most likely scenario, either Clobbering Time or God of Mischief into Invisible Boundary, right? Is probably what you would expect right here. Wouldn't really expect Goddess of Death to come out unless Top 1 Guns is about to fall to Doomed in the Hella v Hella matchup, which, by the way, you still gotta watch in this situation. It's the one thing where either team could go down by 1 at a moment's notice. Often as Hellas take risk, but Window goes a little bit deep, gets taken on down, and Top 1 Guns player just continues laying in the daggers.
That's just, I mean, here's the thing, ZP. It's a masterful thing performance. I'm never going to get tired of saying it because Pinnacle, it's a classic thing moment where runs in, gets the bulwark, drops clobbering time, forces cooldowns, stuns everyone. Top 1 gun player says, okay, here's a pick. Fantastic. Okay, they're not unstunned, but they're low. Here's another pick. And you're just being a nuisance. The thing is so survivable. He's so annoying when combined with the bulwarks for Magneto that he's just running in, dropping ult. Okay, so okay, I'm going to leave now. Bye-bye.
The guy asked Puckett how many of those you get broadcast. Like, what is your overall?
I don't know what the limit is. I don't know what the limit is.
Clearly, there has to be a limit. However, back into it. 1 minute left for Intergalactic, still behind on time. Extinction holding on a great defense here thus far. Top one Gunsplay though, under pressure. Doomed able to take him down before the Gods of Death can come in. Intergalactic now working with a +1. Schleepai looking to even the odds. Kraken impact dropped. No resets here just yet, and it's Galactic Legend in off the other side. Gets rid of the Bucky threat and looks to carve up what remains. However, Invisible Boundary limiting some of the damage, even as Intergalactic takes the tempo lead, moves over. They get one more fight here, though, in second of S, surely.
An Intergalactic Duelist Masterclass there. I mean, Doomed taking those fights on Hella v Hella on the flank, gets the early pick, allowing all that pressure to be moved from the field, the Goddess of Death to be gone too. And then Seniorhoff is like pretty free to just take that fight, drop a Galactic Legend. Sure, it doesn't necessarily get any picks there, but it does give enough pressure to where they have very good, strong control, can clean up the fight here. As Extinction, they have to be worried. They have to be careful of anyone looking for the flank. They're going to look for the recontest right now. They do have the Goddess of Death still. They still have the clobbering time. Oh, the early sight. They have the very early sight on a Seniorhoff. Can they chase him? Probably not. He's so mobile on the Star-Lord.
Top one Guns player, a little bit off on the hunt, goes to the high ground, clobbering time used by Pinnacle. No pickoffs here just yet. Intergalactic still full strength. No, Seniorhoff caught by Schleepai, and here comes the Goddess of Death in on the top. Not immediately interrupted, picks up one, and the bolts just keep on falling. Doom though, Goddess of Death on the other end takes down Loki. Intergalactic not out of the fight just yet. Meteor M from Blue, FPS looking, searching, what's the right target, and decides it's the thing, Extinction. Hold on strong here in overtime, and that is gonna even things up 1-1.
Remember I said Kaluj likes to troll?
Yep.
It's 1-1 now. So, just saying. Just saying. Just saying.
The Kaluj intel proving a little bit questionable. Maybe this was Kaluj just hoping. Going, we saw what happened in the EU. We didn't want to have a full best of 5 NA. However, maybe it's happening. Extinction showing real guts on the second point defense. And also, I mean, it kind of showed that they were way better at dealing with the Star-Lord this time around, too. It wasn't a thing where play Star-Lord, win game, like we saw back in our domination map.
I think the swap to the perma thing also helped them a lot. It gave them a lot more pressure to just give a lot more space for Schleepai in particular. Because when you're playing the Winter Soldier versus no Winter Soldier, it just allows you to have the option to pretty much you need the space to look for bionic hooks. You need the options to also just get all that extra damage because Winter Soldier does so much consistent damage. Similar to the Hela, but also a lot tankier because every time that he's popping an ability that's related to his bionic arm, he's getting bonus health. He can brawl so effectively. He can displace people with both the Trooper's Fist and that hook to where I think you have to think about like, okay, it's not just the fact that the comp changed, but also on top of that, the map, just way less maneuverability for the Star-Lord, which really gave, I think, Extinction the opportunity to contest a lot more.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll put you a little bit on the spot here because obviously this was a pretty close game and it was a turnaround too, right? Where Extinction was able to even up the series. But from what you saw right now, what was the biggest difference on an individual level that Extinction did better in map 2 relative to map 1?
Realistically, I mean, first of all, this was a really cool play. Before I even, I'm gonna hit you with a non-sequitur, ZP. This was a really cool play, using the Black Widow with the portals from Strange to try to get a pick on the back line, just using it to look from behind them. But most importantly, it's honestly top one guns player. I think the Hela difference was huge, not in that actually like a diff, but more so just the amount of pressure, the amount of picks that top one guns player was getting there in these fights repeatedly. And because of that, Schleepai was a lot more free to also get a ton of value. So I think really the Hela value on this map, and we talked about it a bit, how having the Astral Flock, the ability to get to high ground, to pressure, to have the Goddess of Death, to add even more pressure post Strategist ult is so crucial, and top one guns player succeeded.
I think there was a difference in prioritization too between the two, whereas it felt like top one guns player, while not neglecting the Hela v Hela, was more willing at times to take the L in the Hela v Hela matchup if it meant that they were getting something better on the rest of the team, right? Like top one guns player is basically dodging Doomed, I feel like, for half of that and just looking for team value. And that's risky when you have another Hela hunting for your head the entire time, but in this case, it seemed to pay off.
Sure, I think the overall, you have to always think about the delicate dance of, am I looking to win individual fights on the flank, or am I looking to give a lot more team value, right? And sometimes the answer is very, very gray as a duelist player, because if you get a pick on the flank, that's team value, right? You have a lot more freedom, you have a lot more damage on the field, but also it's dependent on, okay, can I pressure out the vanguards? Can I force some early strategist cooldowns, maybe even an ult? And realistically, Top 1 Guns player did a really good job of balancing it between them. And Intergalactic, definitely no slouches, but it definitely felt like they had a very big struggle on first point, or not, on point A in particular, in terms of breaking that initial hold.
And that's something you definitely see, particularly on Convoy and Convergence to an extent, where you can beat a point, but you can still feel really bad about a point, right? Where if you have to burn most of your available time, and in the process of burning that time, you get to the next point, you're just effectively under immense pressure from there on out. But you know who's not under pressure? Chris Puckett.
Yeah, I'm big chillin'. I'm letting you guys do the hard work tonight, and I am just enjoying the NA broadcast. All right. Why don't you run 2 shields against a Hela Avast? Can I just not do it when Thing is on the table?
You definitely can. You can run. We've even seen double shield comps like Doctor Strange, Magneto still getting played against Hela. It's just the problem with that map is that because of all the huge flank angles in particular, it's very hard to control the Hela. And I think also for both those squads, they really wanted to use the Thing to give value to the aggression, to make sure to break through because of how just really choky the chokes are, which sounds crazy. It sounds the same to say a choke is choky, but the ability to drop the Yancey charge through and just displace people, put some immobilization where they can't run away, and also give embattled leaps to the people that are taking very aggressive fights, including your flanking duelists, is crucial there. And I think that's where the Thing opened up the space for, you know, the Hela, the Winter Soldier. And you definitely could still see Magneto and Doctor Strange being run, but I think both these teams prioritize having the Thing and the option to be extremely mobile and extremely aggressive through some of those more difficult terrain options.
It's been fun to watch. Everyone's winning their own map, at least so far. We're going to Intergalactic pick next. And ZP, walk me through kind of the expectations of what we have, because this is a best of 5, right? You pull out your best card now.
Yeah, I think you 100% do. You never want to be in the situation in a best of 5 where all of a sudden you have the pressure on you of you must win no matter what, right? It's 1-1. You're not quite in a life or death situation. Your tournament life is not on the line yet. But I do think one of the really cool things about the format we have here is that if teams have a particular map identity, if they feel great about the map that they are on, they have the ability to bring it to their hometown, right? Like use hero comps that may be a little bit better for them, use strategies that have been great for them. And you know what? We can talk about it all day long, but that cat Puckett also adorable.
Yeah, I'm just getting surrounded toddlers, kittens, and Marvel heroes. All right, Avast, we can keep talking like nerd strat and stuff, but I want to have the fun time. Can we talk about which hero needs to be added to Marvel Rivals next? It could be anyone from the X-Men, Marvel's universe, you choose. Who is it? And you have to give me their 3 abilities. Think about it. Get creative.
It's tough. It's tough because there is a lot. There's a ton. I have to really bust out my Marvel. I honestly,
Ignore the ban and protect. They're gonna get rid of
Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer. They're doing the Fantastic Four stuff anyways. Give me a Silver Surfer flying around the map. They're gonna be able to just like delete planets at will. Probably can't balance that ability, but imagine if they could just delete the map. But I mean, I imagine ZP probably has a bit of a better. But I mean, realistically, we are also in the ban protect phase.
We're ban protect, but I'll get one out. I'll get one out, and this was for everyone that gets a reference here. You add Doctor Doom, and one of the abilities is Foot Dive. I don't care what the other 2 abilities are. Those 2 at a minimum. And he needs to yell out Foot Dive. You do that.
Why he only dives with his feet? Yeah.
I don't get it.
If you don't get it, it's okay. It's
ZP and I have way different Reddit feeds. I'll tell you that. Well, we're getting down to the final bans, and here we go. So Loki's going to be protected. We got group protected on the other side. You can see Namor. Not going to allow any diving, and you're not going to see any Wolverine taking out your main. Storm's not going to be on the map. So what do you do here with your final ban? Get rid of a Hela?
And Hela could be interesting. I mean, with Groot protected and Loki protected and Namor gone, I mean, there's almost a chance where it's like, okay, Invisible Woman. That's a pretty interesting one because it means there's not going to be a boundary. You won't be able to force physics to like stop the engages either. So maybe Intergalactic looking to cook a little bit here for potentially a slower comp, play with the Groot, because we are on symbiotic surface, and this is a very, very strong map for bunkering a bit, especially on that point A when you're on the defense, or even on the offense, having the walls. So maybe Intergalactic going to go for a little bit of a slower composition, especially with Invisible Woman gone, I guess.
The chat is caught up to Foot Dive, ZP. You're amongst them. Enjoy it. Shout out to you guys. Green Goblin was the best answer. That is Velocity DN. If you have a better Marvel character to put into Rivals, tell me who it is and what are their 3 moves. We'll answer it in the next break.
gotta say, looking at Symbiotic Surface as we head to go into this, I definitely think it's a map that you could play a little bit slower, and defensively you just have more options to not necessarily get immediately dove on, right? Like, I feel like there's cheekier setups you can do here. I think it's also, you talk about heroes that work well here. I don't think it's any surprise that you got double Groot right now, Vast. Just given the ability to set up just ridiculous wall setups, both for damage and defense.
I mean, considering they were both protected, they were protected obviously, but also these comps are pretty reminiscent of what you see on this map a lot. I mean, you're going to see a lot of Strange, you're going to see a lot of Groot, you're likely, I mean, Magneto comes in the mix, and there's going to be a lot of poke as the Winter Soldiers looking for hooks, the Hellas trying to find picks. No crazy, no Moon Knight, nothing trying to farm a hand of Contra or whatever, but instead just going to be doing a little bit of poke, looking to get here onto point A entirely. And they do.
Yeah, and they just immediately remove Bucky from the equation, is what we see there. So, quick pick off, taking Schleepai out, and you think about Extinction on the attack here, Vast. Well, it delays things. When you lose your Winter Soldier that early, you know, you kind of just have to take a step back and have a breather.
Take a beat, you know, have to take a little beat, be like, man, like that stunk. I got picked early, and now I do the walk of shame back here to point A, and see the Groots just bombarding each other. And what's going to be so important also is this duel of the Groot walls. When you see the Iron Lash walls, when you see the Thorn Lash and rather the Ironwood walls, looking to separate the heals, looking to find an early pick on isolation on someone, as Impunity on the off angle here, dropping a lot of damage. A great cryo freeze there coming out, or absolute zero coming out from Fidel, but unfortunately not really able to get much.
God of Mischief going to be used as both Lokis decide to enter their pop star era. Both teams still at full. Kraken Impact, though, that breaks the fight wide open. Senior Hoff absolutely demolishing, sending Extinction right back to spawn.
I mean, sometimes you just drop the Strangling Prison plus the Kraken Impact, and it's just over. It's never been more Jover than it is in that moment, because that's just a lot of damage. And they had no, I mean, they pretty much already forced the God of Mischief. So it's so difficult to break it, as the portal being used here from Blue, getting them behind Intergalactic, taking this high ground return, very, very common, but it does remove the pretty much the brutality of this choke, the brutality of that position, and now they're able to look for a little bit of a stronger push.
I think so much of this maybe depend on Schleepai and the Kraken Impact, particularly on the setup, right? It's the ultimate that both teams have been using to sort of put fights over the top. They just get the Groot, though, for free. Now Kraken Impact into the back. Do they keep it going? Agamotto used in response from Windows. Not gonna be enough to turn the fight. Let's Doom take down Schleepai. Stops the Kraken Impact train. Goddess of Death
Hellafite
used on the
Goddess of Death.
The old Hellafite as both get brought to ground. Flamme on the Doom, though. Takes him out immediately. Extinction trying to get a little bit ahead, but as I say that, Senior Hoff able to turn right back in. It's gotten real scrappy here, Vast. 2 ticks, though, on point for Extinction as Intergalactic looks for a way back in.
Oh, the split here from Intergalactic is really brutal. Can they get the pick? They couldn't, but Intergalactic is doing so good here, trying to keep the split. Fidel caught behind, gonna go down, as now Kraken Impact gonna be used, but really getting nothing there for Senior Hoff. But more importantly, it does give them a little bit more time, but I think Extinction should have all they need to potentially close it out, but it's still anyone's game, as the God of Mischief coming out. Fate of Both Worlds gonna be used, and this is gonna keep everyone for Intergalactic alive. And now for Extinction, you just need a good Strangling Prison. You need anything. Oh, but they're gonna get caught first.
Ooh, the Strangling Prison comes on out. Intergalactic trying desperately to keep this point in their favor. Flushing Extinction out, and you look at the time right now, Vast. We're down to our final 35 seconds.
There's
Extinction.
none. There's no time.
Right now, they're thinking about here is what is the best way to put our opponents in prison. It's all about Pinnacle as they go for the setup.
Doctor Strange analyzing the timeline, saying perhaps there's one timeline out of 1 billion where I can cap the A. And you see here what's so crucial is that for Impunity, putting these Thorn Lash walls up on the ceiling where they can't be easily shot, getting a lot of damage when Extinction tries to approach from that little room here on the right. As a dueling taking place, still no ults here for Intergalactic Extinction. They need a strong Strangling Prison. They're gonna have also the Fate of Both Worlds to keep everyone alive. And there it is.
They go for Prison into Goddess of Death. Everyone's still alive, though. You got Fate of Both Worlds coming in for both teams. Everyone is dancing, looking for the way over. Intergalactic Legend now going to be coming in over the top, answered by Yamato from Window. Both teams still looking for a crucial first pickoff.
Good.
Strangling Prison now for Impunity. Is this going to result in some eliminations? Not quite yet. Extinction, though, on Death's Door. Pinnacle, super, super low. Flamay back into a top one guns player, able to take down 2, keeping Extinction in the fight, and this might be it, Avast.
Oh, I mean, Loki is such an incredibly strong hero. I mean, that Strangling Prison for Pinnacle was like, okay, surely that'll be it. Wrong, because there's going to be Nuck dropping the regeneration domain, which not only drops an insane amount of healing, but until the runestone is destroyed or the ability ends, it converts 30% of the damage back into instant healing. So everyone lived through Strangling Prison. Okay, that's fine. Intergalactic, they have a Strangling Prison of their own. Surely they'll win it with that one. Wrong, Loki, regeneration domain. No one dies, and then it keeps everyone up, and everyone gets the chance to come back in. But Doomed, I mean, getting the early pick on the top one guns player means that they're not going to be able to control the high ground here at all, as Intergalactic taking this fight very aggressively.
Yeah, the quick Bucky pickoff into the bionic arm. Senior Hoff put on a little bit of a show. 2 eliminations here, moving on forward. Now Dr. Strange in his sights, cracking impact, locked and loaded. I don't know if you use it right at spawn here, but you just try and finish off the Strange, and Blue FPS barely living in the moment.
That would be a little BM. That would be a little BM. You see the hook here, trying to be caught. Nope, not going to be able to get the hook around the corner. Maybe in a different game, but not this one. As Extinction walking forward, putting this pressure. Good walls. Gonna be forcing them to break that. As Intergalactic, I mean, they have some ults up. I mean, in fact, by more than just some, they're about to have 4. Extinction they're looking for something, anything to try to open up this fight.
Senior Hoff's been super aggressive, but okay, window down early. Now, what do you use to try and turn the fight back in your favor? You get top one guns player down, Doomed off the Goddess of Death, even things out. And here we go. Senior Hoff grabbing the Kraken impact. Response, though, in Fate of Both Worlds, Intergalactic 1-for-1 here with Extinction. Both teams looking for the key pickoff window. Setting up here on the top. Eye of Agamotto.
It's such a strong position here. I mean, Window just looking for the Eye of Agamotto. There's going to be the Fate of Both Worlds. Window trying to keep everyone alive. They want to live. They want us to just trade the Fate of Both Worlds. There's the Agamotto. Gotta hit a lot, but can they clean up anyone? They can and get Sleep Eye. That's huge. Off all that dark magic, the dark energy there for the Maelstrom of Madness.
Also in the middle of that, Goddess of Death comes down from top one guns player. It does nothing. The damage onto group, Pinnacle down, and once more, we are in time hell for Extinction. Only 20 seconds left to go right now. And
this is a little worse, ZP. I mean, they're further away from the cart. I don't even know if they can touch. And also, Intergalactic, they're not going to want to let them touch. They're going to push extremely aggressively, try to get a pick. I mean, sub 10 seconds. Are they trying to portal? Looks like they're trying to portal. They're getting Strangling Prison. They're not going through the portal at all. I mean, they're just stuck. Oh, they made it through. I can't believe it. The group walls for Pinnacle. This is insane. ZP, they've entirely flipped the map. They flipped the map.
Defensive attack, reverse, the ultimate Doctor Strange magic comes into play. Senior Hoff, though, having none of it, takes down top one guns player immediately. Intergalactic mad at the old switcheroo. And Impunity, though, picks off several. And this is going to be enough to go around. Doomed in on the follow through. And the switcheroo does not actually be that effective in the end. But they had to do it just to at least stay in the round.
It was close. I mean, I really respect that they had the gall to be like, okay, we are definitely not going to touch by foot. We need technology. We need portals. We have to think with portals here. And so they go for the portal directly in front of Intergalactic, and Pinnacle trying to put all those walls up, the Ironwood walls, the Thornlash walls, just to block the damage for long enough. And despite the Strangling Prison that comes out from Impunity, I mean, they're able to make it through the portal just in time, get the contest. And I really thought in that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, a miracle. A miracle's occurred. We're going to see a miraculous push. No, not quite. Miracles don't occur that often.
It would have been a great storyline just because of how that happened with all the pressure directly into the spawn. But we are swapping upsides here. And of course, sometimes you'll see a change in strategy, sometimes not. But, you know, overall, what is your read on this map and what is a good defense versus not, right? Like, is that a defense that, you know, you feel really good on, you're setting up an easy attack, or are you just happy if you get first point right now?
That's an extremely, I mean, in general on Symbiotic Resurgence, I mean, this is a hard map to attack. It is not necessarily uncommon, at least even at the high elo levels, to be first held to where you're not going to get point A at all. But if you're Intergalactic, you can feel really happy because they didn't even get the second point. They didn't get to point B. So you have a lot of time to work with. You know exactly where you need to push. And oftentimes, just from the cart distance that occurred there, that offense for Extinction, just having a good cap on point A and a really strong snowball into the second half of point B means that you could probably cap this like very, very smoothly, depending on how it goes for point A.
Look at the heroes here, nothing really being changed up. Both teams pretty committed to what they feel is strong on this map. And yeah, once more, in these early fights, I feel like so much is dependent on just early group walls, early bionic arms, abduction, actual abduction coming on in, and yet
he still managed to live with the cloak of levitation, thankfully.
Cloak of just get me out of here, Cloak. Not quite Jarvis level command, but, you know, close.
Jarvis, levitate me. As the crews to make the random point early, regeneration domain actually forced.
Oh.
I mean, this is actually pretty big for Intergalactic, I think, ZP, because they got a little bit better positioning and they forced a much later regen domain.
Yeah, and the regen domain isn't there to save Pinnacle a second time. So regen domain, great the first time, not available second time. Doom taking down top 1 guns player, Extinction down 2. And you talked about a first point snowball. It's looking chilly and it's looking rather spherical.
I mean, the ball is rolling down a hill somewhere. Newton is smiling, saying, oh, gravity, it's working. It's working here. Because right now, like, Intergalactic, I mean, they have to be really happy with that. And it was so crucial. I mean, especially in the neutral fights, when you force that regeneration domain, probably Loki's most powerful ability by far in his kit, that just opens up the opportunity. And like, yes, they had to use theirs like shortly after, but they got a little bit of extra time there, and they were just able to put up a good wall, find Pinnacle off the isolation, off the damage from the Twin Lash wall. As Intergalactic coming up on nearly 4 ults. I mean, Extinction, luckily, they didn't have to use anything in their bank because they all died before they all lived. So it's going to be a relatively equal fight in terms of the old territory. Well, not anymore.
Yeah, not with 2 pickoffs immediately here, setting up Intergalactic for success. Extinction, they do use God of Mischief into Fate of Both Worlds, and it's double again. It's again in stereo between our 2 Buckies. Schleepy looking for a way to turn around, buy Extinction a little bit of time, where they need to buy some time. It's 4.5 minutes left for Intergalactic, and they might not need that much of it to put this one away. Completely one-sided here so far.
And that one chance from Schleepy there maybe could have gotten another reset, but was frozen, hit with the absolute 0. Pinnacle gonna make it back, but the strength in prison, no one goes down. There's no damage, there's no heals for Extinction here, and Intergalactic should be cleaning this up unless one of the mighty gods from the Marvel universe themselves shows up and decided to wipe them all. It's very unlikely anything else is gonna happen.
The one above all is not available right now. It has not been returning the voicemails from Extinction whatsoever in this situation. Gods of Death immediately gonna be taken on down. Intergalactic piling on elimination after elimination, and they should be able to just leisurely slide this one in for a map 2 victory.
And that's exactly what they're gonna do. And I mean, really, there's a lot of props to Intergalactic there. I mean, the defense setting up, because you get 1 clean point A win, which is what happened there, getting the early pick, didn't have to use too many ults, and then you just have so much time there. And if you can just snowball, get an early pick, I mean, it's pretty much done there, because the time advantage, the position advantage, it's just so hard to overcome in that situation. So a really, really good defense from Intergalactic.
It's a good defense that puts Intergalactic on match point, but the one trend we've been seeing, at least in the BO5s, not necessarily the BO7s, because VP was just on another level, but generally speaking, the old adage kind of holds true that being able to go to your own map, especially when you can choose any game type in the game, the only rule we have for picking your own map is that you cannot repeat a map, just seems to play to the strengths of these teams here so far, Vast.
Can we pause for a moment, guys? Pinnacle at 100% accuracy on Thing. Ridiculous.
Yeah, that's very big. That's very big. You know what? I think you've really called out the most
hard
out of the map
hitting analysis. All right, as exciting as it is to break down a game in a best of 5 series that doesn't call game series, I would like to take our attention and turn it on the chat. In the beginning of this game, I asked you guys, what character from the Marvel universe should we bring into Marvel Rivals next? We've had some great answers. Avast, do you know who Gambit is?
I do know Gambit. I'm looking to make my name for myself out here. I do, of course. Who hasn't seen the movie? Of course, we all love Gambit.
If you were Gambit, what were your 3 moves?
We're gonna throw the exploding cards.
Kinetic card.
I'm going to make a really, really good seafood boil because I'm from Louisiana.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna hit someone with a metal rod because I think he's got like a metal rod that he hits people with.
Yeah, he's got a staff. It's pretty dope. We're gonna keep working on that one. Lesseru says, Sandman. The passive sand body, so standing on any of your abilities would heal and generate bonus health. The Sandstorm is a horizontal sand wall, large visual blocker, and it slows enemies and speeds allies. A Quicksand is AoE at fields and drags enemies towards the center. Strength intensifies with time spent in the Quicksand, and an ultimate would be something like a Hela. I like these. These are getting strong, ZP. Have you come up with anything better?
Have I come up with anything better?
He only gave one ability, by the way. He just gave ability based off feet. That was it.
Well,
That's all I heard from the Doctor
Well, look, it's
General.
it's absolutely iconic within what it does. But okay, you want to go to another thing? I'll piggyback here. We'll do a little bit of caster synergy here. If you're going to add like Gambit into the game, right, and think about how you're going to do Gambit, well, one of the team ups there, you'd have to have Rogue, right? Like iconic old school X-Men pairing.
Like this.
Have Rogue in there. You can have an ultimate ability where you just, kind of like Loki's God of Mischief, but also just hurts people at the same way. Like no one actually goes into an interaction with Rogue where she steals your powers and you actually feel good about it at the end. You actually feel quite drained. You might be in a coma for like 10 years of syndication if you're talking about something like Captain Marvel, right? So, Rogue, you got a power steal ability, you got flight coming on in, maybe something along the idea for super strength that, she stole. I mean, just cool abilities. You can even like get the power stealing in from different mechanics, right? Too, not even just the ultimate. So I think there's so much room for creativity there. And then, power up with Gambit where, maybe you use parts of Gambit's abilities without putting him into a coma.
The seafood boil. The seafood boil. She gained strength by eating some crawdads, perhaps.
Let's take a look at some of these highlights, and while they roll, keep the ideas coming in all the chats. We want to welcome in Sinatra's viewers, over 2.5 thousand, tuning in to our first Marvel Rival show here on Fight Night. Check out all of the broadcasts, and a big shout out to Hexagram's behind the scenes. If you guys want a clean feed and you want to join the watch party like Seagull, Sinatra, and crew, you can host your own. Just hit up our producers. We'll take care of you. Back to these highlights, though. Intergalactic chooses the map. They look pretty darn good on it. Who stood out in the Game 3 decider so far? Avast.
I mean, sometimes we disagree with the in-game choosing of the MVP, but Impunity got it, and I have to agree because Impunity, I mean, we're seeing some of those highlights there. On the Groot, such good tech. I mean, even in this play where it maybe ended up failing, the strangling prison thrown from the low ground, trying to deny that last second contest, but the usage of the walls in particular, and that's when they're really gonna separate a really good Groot player versus a good Groot player, is how do you use your walls effectively? Are you using the tech to get the most value out of those Thorn Lash walls? Are you making sure to separate people from healing, to isolate them from the rest of their team? And Impunity did that expertly, while also mitigating damage for his own team. And I mean, just once here again, that's the opening pick on that point A, off the Thorn Lash wall, off that regeneration domain getting forced, and Impunity played expertly on this map. And there's a reason why I think they protected the Groot, because they knew this is going to be central to their strategy.
Fantastic call outs there. Keep your eyes on Senior Hoff. He and Intergalactic looking to seal the deal. They're on match point when we come back. In the meantime, do us a favor. Head on over to our YouTube channel. Drop a subscribe. And if you're watching on Twitch, hit that follow button. We are already over 2,000 followers. It is just the first of many broadcasts coming your way. Marvel's Rival Fight Night. Be right back. You are watching the first night of Marvel's Fight Night. Welcome, everybody. Chris Puckett on the mic. We got ZP and Avast, and two of the best teams in North America fighting for their chance to play for $1,000. It's a best of 5 leading up to the best of 7, and this could be the final game. Will Intergalactic be able to finish it out? Or will we see Extinction forcing us the distance? Avast, ZP, let's break down what we've seen so far, because this is just the NA portion of the show. We already saw 2 matches from EU, and there's clearly a juggernaut over there. Virtus.pro, best team on the planet, or just in Europe, Avast?
A little early call. I mean, considering we haven't really seen very much, cross-region play at all, essentially. I would say that in general, looking how clean they look, though, Virtus.pro might be a favorite. I mean, might be heresy to say, because I know Sentinels later today in the BO7, we're going to be seeing Sentinels play, and Sentinels, clout match, of course. We can't be dogging on the clout too much, but Virtus.pro look very, very clean, and we got to give Sentinels a chance in this new, their new roster, give them some time to gel, and see how are they actually going to look before I make the comparison, but Virtus.pro might be the team to beat worldwide currently.
Benzie calling out that we need to take a look at mutants as well. Lots of teams coming to the surface here as the top squads in their region. We hope to feature them all on Rivals Fight Night. So find us on Twitter. Let us know who you want to see. And of course, spam that chat. Before we jump into the next game, we're going to see Extinction choosing the map here. But ZP, I saw a fantastic suggestion. We need more Vanguard. What if we had a Doc Ock who gets to free float if close to walls? So it's kind of like a flying character, but you're dependent on walls and stuff.
I would love it. I think the wall climbing mechanics in the game and also the web swinging mechanics in the game are some of the coolest that we've seen within the hero shooter genre. Also, I think a good chance to introduce the anti-team up mechanic, because Doc Ock is a hater. I feel like he needs extra special bonuses only versus Spider-Man, does not like Peter Parker one bit. But also, I have another thing to bring up right now that Seagull brought up, which is a very important observation, is that apparently within Seagull's chat, everyone is saying that Avast just looks like a park ranger right now. Full park ranger cosplay.
I was wondering, are you like at Yosemite or where are we working nowadays?
check on the redwoods after this, actually. So I mean, it's gonna do a night. I'm just gonna check on some trees. I mean, I'm keeping both the cast and the forest. Okay, Groot and I were tight like that. All you need to know is that this is some of the finest resold park ranger uniforms you could ever find. If you ever need a hookup, you know who to call. Okay, so, but if you get lost in the woods, don't call me after making fun of the fit. Do not make fun. Do not call me.
True or false? You own a reptile.
Don't own a reptile.
Okay, not yet. He's going to be a snake guy eventually,
Not
ZP.
yet.
All right, we're jumping into this map. We've got it on the screen for us. What can you tell me about game number 4?
I think the fact that we're hanging in the Hell's Heaven right now, it's kind of interesting because generally speaking, I mean, when teams are picking maps that they feel favored on, a lot of times teams will go to Convoy or Convergence, but going to Domination, to me, it just feels like going into this Extinction wants a straightforward map, whether it be win or lose. And I mean, they also, when you see teams go to Domination too, there might be some sort of comp where they feel like, hey, we actually have like a key mechanical edge, because it's more of a game type where it's less heavy on some of the deeper strategic plans and more so on we're just going to play better, for lack of a better term.
Right. Well, let's take a look here at our ban and protect so far. We've seen a lot of Wolverine ban. There he is again. Extinction hates that guy.
I think Wolverine being banned makes sense a lot for a domination map, in particular Puckett and ZP, because especially for Hell's Heaven, because this map, you know, you get to the Super Soldier Factory, you get to the frozen airfield points, it gets so enclosed, and the map's going to rotate. Where Wolverine is incredibly strong. The Pharaoh Leap can cover so much just ground, catch a player very easily, and with the Last Stand also, when so many people are going to be grouped, unless you're doing really effective splits, Wolverine makes it smart. And I mean, also, there's another Groot protect. So you know Immunity's probably going to be playing some Groot.
Will we see more things, ZP?
I absolutely think we are going to see more Thing, unless it gets banned, which I don't think it will be. I think in this instance here, I think both teams have shown they feel pretty good about playing Thing. So worst case scenario, you go Thing for Thing. The Star-Lord Protect coming in from Extinction actually is pretty interesting to me, given the fact that you think about which team looked really good with Star-Lord back on our first Domination map. It was Intergalactic. It was Senior Hoff just going wild on the Star-Lord. So in this case, they've gone with the Star-Lord Protect, and they go for the Hella ban. So I think to them, it's like they're okay with the Star-Lord Mirror. They're just not okay with the Star-Lord Mirror when they have to deal with the Hella.
Yeah, they're saying, we're going to run it where you just want to not get picked out of the sky. On the other side, is that Invisible Woman being banned? I believe so. So let's
that
see
is an Invisible Woman being banned,
strategy.
which it makes a lot of sense when you think of the fact that this map is very, very strong for her kit, but also when you have Star-Lord being protected, so you know Star-Lord's probably going to get played. The Guardian Shield, her secondary, is so strong for very mobile heroes because you can give them a shield, 300 HP, it gives them healing as well, slows enemies that come near, and you can redeploy it at will pretty much. It's got a pretty low cooldown. So Invisible Woman not being able to be comboed with the Star-Lord means that you're gonna have to find a little bit more answers that maybe are a little bit less ubiquitous, less versatile. You know, you play with like a Mantis, potentially just to keep with like a Cloak and Dagger, or you know, the ever-present Loki. So overall, I think it's a pretty interesting ban because it's pretty much just mitigating the value that you can get from a hero like Star-Lord.
So are we seeing Loki? Are we seeing Luna? Luna has to be in the comp, right? ZP, what do you expect to see here? Cloak?
I think when in doubt, in terms of supports, there is like kind of a general tiering. If you're gonna take a guess, like obviously teams might have specific strategies on maps, but I think if Loki is available, Loki will be played. I think if Luna is available, Luna will be played. And part of that is that Luna's ultimate, fate of both worlds, it's just incredibly good at presence. And guess what? If you have Loki, you get it twice, right? And you take a look at the comps here, doesn't look like that's gonna be changing anytime soon.
Here we go. Game is ready. Extinction trying to force a game 5. Casters, take it away.
Take a look here, Avast. It's a Hulk sighting. And Senior Hoff off the Groot.
I mean, I see it. The Hulk 2 leap on that thing. It's finally here.
And not only that, it's triple tank. Window is on the Strange, so Senior Hoff doing the old flex, triple Vanguard action in play versus an old 2-2-2 on the other end. So more pressure on Extinction for their duelist.
And it makes even more sense now with the Invisible Woman ban, because having Invisible Woman for a triple Vanguard setup here when you're just playing the Star-Lord for Duelist means you won't have the force physics to bring them into range of your Vanguards. So this is actually an even smarter ban now, because Extinction having to back up, I mean, the triple Vanguard, it's getting so much pressure, but they are finally going to pick right there onto Senior Hoff, as that's going to mean that they can drop the Fate of Both Worlds, try to find some more, and yeah, they're also going to make sure that Bruce Banner, he's back. No more Hulk, just Bruce Banner time.
You know, one thing that I feel like is universal across hero shooters is that if you're going to run a triple Vanguard composition, it's also a composition that doesn't really like giving up first pick. If you give up first pick and the other team is running something more usual like a 2-2-2, it's probably over. That fight is not going to end in your way, because all the advantages of running a triple Vanguard composition is that you're really tanky, there's a lot of space being taken, and people don't usually die. If someone dies, now you're just down a duelist, which doesn't feel great.
For sure, and triple Vanguard still puts out a lot of damage as well. I mean, the Vanguards all do a lot of damage on their own, but you're right. I mean, there's so much sustain here. They're really relying on Doom to be the pick driver, and also to have just a lot of displacement, a lot of value from the Vanguard ults, as there's going to be the Force onto the Fate of Both Worlds. There's going to be the Kraken impact as well, as can they clean up anyone with that culling effect? It looks like no, everyone's going to live.
Galactic Legend in from the top one guns, looking for a pickoff right now, but there's a lot of meat on the other side. Not easy targets, and it's Impunity just running around giving people the Hulk fists, which
and that's the beauty of this comp here, ZP, because okay, you have two duelists, but we have meat. We have a lot of meat, which means it's very hard to burn through them unless maybe that Kraken impact is getting a ton of value. You know, they're able to focus those that have had the culling effect. Maybe they can get a strategist, and with Impunity running around Hulk, you can also drop the indestructible guard, which means that everyone gets shields on the team. It's so much valued in terms of just mitigating the damage, and all that damage goes into shields then turns into ult percentage for Impunity, so he has even more monster Hulk form.
Just hanging out on the wall. A little bit of action here, and all right, Hulk going on in, ult used. A little bit of disruption, just completely obliterating Luna Snow. Gives up his life for it in turn, but still a quick knockout. Setting the stage here, Extinction though, more than enough ability to brawl this back as Intergalactic down one of their Vanguards, and early Agamotto. It's gonna be a fall through.
They did not know. ZP, the answer to that, they did not know. They did not know about the Eye of Agamotto there. I mean, really well positioned for Window, and even with Impunity going in, gonna trading his life there for a pick, that's still great because, okay, pick, they think we can come back in, that Hulk's coming back, and Window just gonna reposition with the Coco Levitation. And also what's so crucial with this team up too with Hulk is that because of the Gamma Maelstrom, Window can hold on to all that dark energy, all that dark magic at 100 and not be anti-healed, which gives them even more pressure when they release that. So overall, Intergalactic just playing the comp super, super well right now.
Well, Extinction, they're loaded for Bear. The question is, do they use it here or wait for next round? I think they probably use it here. They open up Galactic Legend, top one guns player, into the sky. Fate of Both Worlds in action. Ults being invested on both ends. Kraken impact in. Schleepai just gets impacted himself instead. Extinction down one early on. The ult bank fully drained. And Intergalactic looking none worse for the wear. Extinction.
And it's probably just a slow loss here, ZP, unfortunately. I mean, there's a chance, but as soon as Blue did not get value with the Meteorium, did not kill anyone through any, did not get any limbs through the strategist ult, just means that Intergalactic just going to survive, going to last for so long as Intergalactic clean up here on the point. And, you know, that's just a situation where you really just want to get one. You have to find one to maybe stop the sustain value that's going to be happening at Intergalactic when you're forced to be on point there.
So that's interesting to me, and I'm curious if this is going to turn out to be a more regional thing, because it would be such a reversal of historical, trends between the regions, right? It's funny to me that in EU, you don't really see too much in the realm of the triple Vanguard comps for the most part, and then you get to NA, and it's like, yes, we will triple Vanguard. We will find ways to use it. Not on every map per se, but Intergalactic, not sure they're really going to change here, and I know it's something that you look at previous public matches for Sentinels before they became Sentinels. They were partial to it at times also, so, using some of the flexibility here in Marvel Rivals with team compositions just to say, you know what, sometimes we do want to use triple Vanguard.
And sometimes you just want to bring out the big green thing, you know? You want to bring out the Hulk, and I think it's so crucial. But realistically, it's also just so many strong team-ups there, especially with the Doctor Strange. The Indestructible Guard just gives so much value. There's really no other ability in the game that gives you just that much damage mitigation from a Vanguard that instantly with the shield. That then converts into pure ultimate percentage. So outside of maybe like the regeneration domain, is he an early portal coming out here? Window gonna take them up directly onto the point. So you would think, oh, maybe we're gonna fight for high ground. No, instead we don't need that because we can build the stairs. We can just walk up to the high ground.
That's right. I mean, well, you don't need anything as flashy as flying. Use the stairs. Simple and effective. But what do you think here of Thor versus Hulk as both teams start slowly grinding things out here? Agamotto on deck for Windows, takes down opposing Doctor Strange early. So Intergalactic starting out strong. And again, Hulk, Thor, what do you like?
Thor is very interesting here because you're going to be dropping the Awakening Rune a lot. It's all going to be based off of, can I throw that damage, just try to cleave through enemies, get a very, very quick God of Thunder. But for the first fight, at least, it did not give a lot of value. Intergalactic going to be chasing down these frags, continuing to find one. And what's so good about Hulk here, again, we talked about the shields, but the radioactive lockdown means that we can also exile players. That player can't do anything. They're not going to be able to shoot. They're not going to be able to heal. They're just going to be stuck until damage is done to them. So Intergalactic playing this so well. And for Extinction, if they're going to play the Thor, I mean, they don't have like a hella team up right now. They are going to have the reses. They're going to have that damage boost. Really, Thor just needs to get a lot of value here with the God of Thunders and just trying to displace maybe members of the back line.
A little bit of Blaster Barrage, top one guns may setting up for the Galactic Legend. Extinction, a full ult bank here as they move on in. Top one guns able to find impunity. No Galactic Legend required. Agamotto used by Window. However, down one, it's going to be difficult for them to convert on. Galactic Legend use Fate of Both Worlds in Extinction. Burn in the bank. They head directly onto the point. Keep their tournament life on the line, because if they lose this round, that's it. They will not be in the money match.
Oh, the Strangling Prison coming out. Great. Eye of Agamotto, though, from Sleepy, keeping everyone alive for the time being. They now have to survive through the Intergalactic Legend. A lot of pressure here onto Doom, who's going to get pocketed, but finally going to find Pinnacle, and now they're stuck here in the room, the bunker. It's not looking good. The Blaster Barrage, and it looks like that's going to be it here as the fight is going to be over. And Extinction here on a last fight territory, and you really, I mean, Intergalactic playing this triple Vanguard drop so well. They're getting so much value from the Hulk. Doomed allowed to just come in, force cooldowns, get late picks, as Extinction just have not had the chance to get any return. And I mean, they swapped counter Hulk.
Avast, Intergalactic is now knocking on the door of Sentinels. They can feel it. The best of 7 money match in their sights. Extinction, last fight to stay in the first Rivals Fight Night for North America. Doomed immediately takes down Flamay, a huge pick, a trade that you gotta like if you're Intergalactic. Extinction now down 2. Intergalactic looking to put this one away, 99-0. Extinction, how long can they delay? Doesn't look like it's gonna be long, as Intergalactic book their ticket to fight Sentinels for $1,000 right after this match.
And I mean, I have to give so much credit to Impunity. I mean, Impunity played the group masterfully on Symbiotic Resurgence, played Hulk here expertly on Hell's Heaven. I mean, in that last fight alone, when they have the portal recontest, everyone comes out for Extinction, hits the radioactive lockdown, denying all the Luna snow heals, making sure they can't build up towards Strategist ult, and then while it's happening, giving shields, finding picks, supporting Doomed, and I mean, overall, Impunity just played this so well.
Yeah, I think you look at Impunity's contributions, and it cannot be understated. Where, yeah, the MVP says one thing, but Impunity, overall hero pool, was great throughout the series, flexing on multiple different tank heroes and, you know, making the Hulk difference, as you mentioned here, just very much known to the point that you get the swap at the very end, almost desperation out of Extinction. But, you know, between these two teams, you know, we thought it would be close. I think it was close at points, but Intergalactic just showed more flexibility and, you know, I think a little bit more tools that they could rely on.
Can we talk about that flexibility? Because I'm looking at these numbers. Senior Hoff busting out the Groot, the triple Vanguard, dropping 15,000 damage. He still gets to play that DPS role that you're always craving. I love this flexibility we saw from Intergalactic. On the other side, for Extinction, if you had a Wolverine, does that comp ever exist, or is that just the hard counter of Avast? I know we banned him out.
It's definitely a lot harder. I mean, and I think that's why that was banned, right? I mean, I mean, actually, to be fair, it was technically Extinction that banned them, correct? So realistically, yes. Extinction didn't want to play into Wolverine. So, but it's definitely a lot harder because Wolverine's pretty much the only full Vanguard counter in the game currently, because not only does he do a ton of damage displacement, his damage is based off a percentage base of the target's health. So the more health you have, the more damage he does. So I do think that, like, if Wolverine's on the field, you probably don't see a triple Vanguard, but you have seen some games, and I mean, even Sentinels themselves have played it under their previous banners, or even in Europe, where you've seen triple Vanguard potentially beat Wolverine occasionally, but it's definitely not easy. And I think without the Wolverine, it makes it almost, you know, much more likely that triple Vanguard is going to be run and a lot harder to be beaten.
A beefy comp, that's for sure, and it's good enough for Intergalactic to take our game for our MVP. Are you ready? Can you guess who it is, Avast? The one, the only.
Wait,
Off boss, take a look at the Groot. I overruled you in the Discord while you were talking, sucker.
I'm flabbergasted. I was like, oh, this is so easy. Like, I know who this was. Like, I put in my vote, and once again, Puckett undercutting me. Now, I will say, Senior Hoff obviously had a great game. I mean, a very, very good game. Showed the flexibility. I mean, there's nothing that we can complain about with Senior Hoff. I think they were very, very crucial. And
I just asked the editor which clips are sexier, and they're like,
this clip is so good.
And this is for a good reason, right, CP?
Yeah, of course it's for good reason. Who is playing your Bucky? Bucky is going to get the biggest highlight clips in Marvel Rivals right now over every other character because everyone wants to hear again get said like 5 times in a row, and it also often happens, right? So, but also, it helps too for Senior Hoff. Very impactful Star-Lord play, especially going back to how we opened the series on Domination, right? Where Senior Hoff goes Star-Lord after a rough round 1 and just easily brings Intergalactic through for 2 straight rounds. And look, flexibility, whether it be on the Star-Lord, whether it be on the Winter Soldier, or at the very end, flexing the Groot. However, Puckett, there may be retribution. Avast will remember this day that he got overruled.
I will say, I mean, I'll lodge a protest. I would have had impunity personally, but Senior Hoff, obviously, I mean, on the Star-Lord, on the Bucky, I mean, you could even say that something as they're on the team Intergalactic, an Intergalactic legend himself, perhaps, an Intergalactic legend himself, even. So yeah, overall, I think that Senior Hoff had a really, really strong game, and I can't be mad about that pick. I think the MVP was well-deserved, showed a lot of flexibility, but impunity heads in chat, rise up. Puckett has taken that away from you, and has also spit in the face of all Vanguard players.
I would also like to request that our amazing Solomon behind the scenes creates the Park Ranger pick of the day. If we could crown impunity, I know you already have the montage ready. Let's just throw it up on Twitter. In the meantime, we've got to talk about what is in front of us, ZP, because this was just the qualifier matchup to get to the money battle.
Yeah, and of course, here's how it works here on Rivals Fight Night. We invite 2 teams. They fight off for the rights to go against our defending team. And, you know, this is week 1. We had to appoint a defending team based on previous performance, and that team is Sentinels. They were the best team. We were able to get the show up here today, and there's a lot of hype behind them. They are super good. They nearly won the last invitational that was done in North America, and look, they are strong. They continually scrim. They're an incredibly flexible team, and Intergalactic, they are going to be tested to the absolute limits in our best of 7 money match.
I'm told the fans love them. They're making them a logo as we speak, and as we speak, we're going to commercial break. We got one more battle to go on the initial fight night. It's Rivals. Don't go anywhere. Be right back.